Has Putin purged his top commander? General leading the Ukraine war hasn't been seen in 2 weeks amid rumors he is no longer in charge. General Alexander Dvornikov has not been seen for 2 weeks, U.S. officials say. Dvornikov was tapped by Putin in April to lead was after failed attack on Kyiv, but he may have lost command as Russia takes heavy losses in Donbas, U.S. says. General Valery Gerasimov, chief of Russia's general staff, remains missing amid rumors he has also been purged by Putin. Russia's top commander in Ukraine hasn't been seen for 2 weeks and may no longer be in charge of the invasion, officials have claimed. General Alexander Dvornikov, an accused war criminal who helped Assad gas his own people in Syria, was tapped by Vladimir Putin to lead his armies in April, after he was forced to abandon a blundering assault on Kyiv and refocus on Donbas. It comes on top of the 9 generals that Ukraine claims to have killed and dozens of other top brass who have been confirmed dead in a little over 3 months of war. Dvornikov's disappearance was first reported by the New York Times, after a briefing by American officials on the state of the invasion. They say Russia is repeating the same mistakes in Donbas that saw troops humiliated in a push to take Kyiv, including a lack of coordination between different branches of the military and a plodding pace of it. Though Russia's Donbas offensive has met with some successes, the officials said units already mauled in the assault on Kyiv are being worn down by the advance. Risk-averse Russian pilots are still refusing to enter Ukrainian airspace, they said, instead preferring to fire missiles and quickly exit due to fears of being shot down. Lacking control of the skies means Putin's forces on the ground are exposed to attacks by Ukraine's own air force, including homemade drones. Heavy artillery and relatively short supply lines in Donbas have handed Russia the upper hand in some parts of Donbas, the official said, with troops taking Mariupol and making gains in Severodonetsk. But advanced U.S. rocket artillery, which President Biden announced he would send to Ukraine yesterday, and stretched supply lines as Russia pushes further into Ukraine could see these wiped out. Coordination between elements of the Russian military did improve somewhat after General Dvornikov was appointed, observers said, but he has been unable to fix fundamental flaws in how the army functions. General Dvornikov has a long, bloody and fearsome reputation as a commander of Russia's armed forces. From 2016, Dvornikov oversaw Russia's intervention in the Syrian civil war, helping President Bashar al-Assad crush his enemies and some of America's former allies. During that time, chemical weapons and indiscriminate airstrikes were used, resulting in thousands of civilian casualties. Born in 1961, Dvornikov began his career in Soviet military school, before going on to join the Soviet Army in 1978. He was educated further at the Moscow High Command Training School, where he graduated in 1982. Since then, he risen the ranks in the Soviet and then Russian Army, serving in senior positions in various divisions and graduating from the Military Academy of the General Staff in 2005. In 2008, he took command of the 5th Red Banner Army, before serving as deputy commander of the Eastern Military District, and then as the Central Military District's chief of staff. In September 2015, he became the first commander of the Russian armed forces in Syria at the start of Moscow's intervention in the country, and took charge of its military operation there in 2016. Russia intervened when the Syrian government, led by Assad, requested help from its ally to crush rebel groups in the country, employing a brutal regime of airstrikes that helped the government regain significant territory. According to the British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, SOHR, by the end of September 2017, Russian airstrikes had killed around 5,703 civilians, around a quarter of them children, along with thousands. Since taking command in Ukraine, the 60-year-old is thought to have masterminded a missile strike on Kramatorsk railway station in early April that killed 59 people including 7 children as they tried to evacuate. Russian troops are currently battling Ukraine for control of Severodonetsk, one of the last remaining strongholds in the Luhansk region, which Putin intends to liberate. The battle has been intensifying this week with heavy casualties on both sides, as dramatic videos showed a plume of orange smoke rising from the city yesterday as a tank of acid at a fertilizer factory was bombed. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Moscow of madness for striking the chemical plant, saying their commanders do not care about the risk of releasing toxic gases into the air. A steady flow of vehicles delivered some 1,350 people Monday through an eastern Ukrainian checkpoint towards Red Cross buses, desperate to flee the horrors of life in Russian-controlled territory. The exhausted crowds, including women and children, crossed a dam cutting through a reservoir that serves as the demarcation line between Russian and Ukrainian troops. "I can breathe more easily now," Anna, a teacher who fled with her children aged 13 and 11, told AFP, as she crossed the checkpoint. Tatyana, a 19-year-old student, said she was happy to be back in her native Ukraine after 3 months of living in the Russian world. French journalist Frédéric Leclerc-Kimhoff was killed while covering civilian evacuations in the Donbas on Monday. And an overnight rocket attack left at least 3 people dead and 6 wounded in the city of Slavyansk, Donetsk Regional Governor Pavlo Kirilenko said Tuesday. "There are no safe places in the Donetsk region, so I call again, evacuate, save your lives," he said. 4 more civilians died and 7 were injured in Donetsk on Tuesday, he added in a later Telegram post. Ukraine's Prosecutor General Irina Venediktova said authorities had identified a few thousand cases of war crimes in the Donbas, including murder, torture and the forced displacement of children. The key Zelensky aide, who met international counterparts in The Hague on Tuesday, said Kyiv was already going to prosecute 80 suspects for alleged war crimes on Ukrainian soil. A Ukrainian court on Tuesday jailed 2 Russian soldiers for 11.5 years for shelling 2 villages in the northeastern Kharkiv region. Earlier this month, another was jailed for life for murdering a civilian.